Hey y'all, it's Faiza, and this is my moment of the week. So, the first post I chose comes from Lisa's blog, and her post is from September 12th, and it focuses on establishing a growth mindset in the classroom around and through different literacy practices. And what I loved most about this post is that there were lots of brilliant layers with it to work through. So, Lisa not only reflected on building a growth mindset herself and in her district, but she created a great resource to help us do the same in our districts. Her post actually links to a BuzzFeed page that she created of picture books which are effective in teaching the growth mindset. And then she also included a link to a very illuminating TED Talk on why being wrong can be good for us. The second post that I selected comes from Edutopia, a collaborative blog where educators can post tips and strategies on topics ranging from project-based learning to social-emotional learning. And the specific post I chose is from July 2014 and is by Amy Conley, an English professor at California State University, and her post focuses on nurturing intrinsic motivation and a growth mindset with respect to writing. So I felt that these two pieces or posts were part of a larger conversation we could have on both how to leverage literacy to teach the growth mindset and also how to build a growth mindset around developing literacy skills. So I chose these posts because I would like to hear more from Lisa about how she is using literacy lessons to build a growth mindset in her students and how she is helping her students to have a growth mindset around reading and writing practices. I'd also like to hear the strategies that our cohort is using at multiple different grade levels. So Lisa's post. Lisa's post begins with a reflection on a meeting she attended as a member of her district's math leadership committee. She notes how many educators in her district, including her, were stressing and discussing the importance of developing a growth mindset at all levels of schooling. The concept Lisa discusses, the growth mindset, was first popularized by the psychologist Carol Dweck in 2006. Lisa notes in her post that whether it's in math or in reading, we must teach students that they can learn anything if they put in the work, practice, and effort to learn it. And that as teachers, we must combat the belief, which starts so early in schooling, that intelligence is fixed and there exists a particular threshold for every individual when it comes to knowledge or reading or writing skills. I specifically really appreciated Lisa's personal reflection on her challenging first year of teaching, the first time she ever felt like she was failing, and because I could connect with it and I could relate to it, but also because she states how this experience and later experiences in the classroom helped her to realize that students need to have what she calls safe experiences with failure. And I really couldn't agree more with Lisa, and I would want to hear more about how she actually creates these safe experiences with failure for her first grade students. So embedded in Lisa's post is a link to her BuzzFeed page where she asserts that it is our responsibility as teachers to meet students where they are and show them how they can grow. So she made a BuzzFeed list of different picture books that echo this lesson of growth. And looking at her examples and her thoughts on her examples made me want to come up with a list of middle school and high school texts that can do the same. So I'd want to hear from our cohort a list of books that they feel can teach the growth mindset. And then Lisa also included a link to a very thoughtful TED Talk from Catherine Scholes. And in the talk, Scholes illuminates and challenges a pervasive problem in our society and our educational system, which is basically that mistakes should be viewed as points of shame and embarrassment, and perfectionism should be the ideal. So Schultz, again, tries to dismantle this belief, and she comments on how completely backwards this is, considering that everyone at some point or another has been wrong in their past, and she points to how being wrong can actually be an incredibly humbling and powerful learning moment for all of us and for our students. So I think this is something we really need to consider and to teach our students when they are learning how to read or write. And I would be curious how our cohort teaches a culture of error around reading and writing practices. And then I just included on here a quote I really liked from the talk. Was 1200 years before Descartes said his famous thing about I think therefore I am. This guy, St. Augustine, sat down and wrote Fallor ergo sum, I err therefore I am. Augustine understood that our capacity to screw up, it's not some kind of embarrassing defect in the human system, something we can eradicate or overcome, it's totally fundamental to who we are. And I think we need to help our students, particularly when it comes to writing, to realize that mistakes in the writing process are all a part of growing and developing as a writer. So I really appreciated this TED Talk that Lisa also shared. So speaking of writing, let's move on to Conley's post. Conley's post is a reflection on her experiences as a writing teacher of 13 years. She notes how in the past she had used writing conferences with great success, but that they weren't enough to motivate or engage all students. She states how she constantly searched for a better means of facilitating universal student growth in writing. And then she hones in on 2 specific books in her post, which have greatly influenced and transformed her teaching and success with writing instruction. The first book is Daniel Pink's bestseller, Drive: The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. In the book, Conley explains, Drive argues that humans are motivated both by the opportunity to improve and having control over their opportunities to improve. So Conley talks about how this book encouraged her to provide more autonomy to her students in writing. She reflects on how offering student voice and choice in prompts, creating authentic audiences for writing, and allowing students to choose their own writing goals helped her students to grow and believe in themselves as writers. I'm curious to know what the others have done to provide students with autonomy over opportunities to improve in writing. The second book is Dweck's infamous text, Mindset: The New Psychology of Success, How We Can Learn to Fulfill Our Potential. Connolly discusses how Dweck's ideas have helped her to give intentional feedback and help students build confidence and identity in writing. She discusses how simple word choices and the power of words like yet help her students flourish as writers. She then provides a table of how to transform ordinary writing feedback into feedback that can foster growth. So you can read through these examples on her post. I view Connolly's choices in writing instruction and Lisa's choices of text for reading to both be exemplary means of fostering the growth mindset around and through different literacy practices. So this leaves me with a couple of questions that I have for you all. So what strategies do you use to teach the growth mindset in your classroom around reading and writing practices? How do you use literature or writing assignments to teach the growth mindset? Do any particular texts or prompts come to mind? Can you add to Lisa's BuzzFeed list? What does the growth mindset look like in a writer, in a reader? How do you identify a positive culture of error? How do you transform a classroom that is yet to develop one? What have you done with success or failure to provide your students with more autonomy over opportunities to improve their writing? And what kind of writing feedback or instruction with success or failure have you provided to promote a growth mindset? So that's my moment of the week, and thank you for watching.